Hello. Let's spend the next few minutes to explore the idea of reading about literature and what we can get from that reading. Many people who enjoy reading literature also enjoy reading about literature, so we might help ourselves as readers by considering what we do when we do that. What happens when we read about literature? What purpose does reading about literature serve? I'd like to use this lecture to consider that question and perhaps propose some answers. And most prominently, we can read about literature to get new perspectives. We know that we each see the world in a way of our own. This means that we necessarily overlook some aspects of everything. The way we see the world necessarily does not include every single aspect of the world. We miss some things, including some things in what we read. Literary criticism, by expressing the new perspectives that other readers have, gives us the chance to see literature through fresh eyes and consider details that we might not have seen on our own. Because we read differently, because each of us has a different way of seeing a text, another reader will probably see something that I myself do not see. Thus, when we read about literature, we can understand the works we read in a variety of new ways. We can read through the mind of another reader and thus find what that reader has seen that we have not. What the work says to a reader that it does not say to us, but could, if we read it in a particular way. We can, in fact, expand our enjoyment in this way by reading about it. We can also use literary criticism to find new works to read. Criticism, by showing us how similar works relate to each other, can help us find more reading of the kind we like. For example, if I enjoy sonnets, I might find more authors of sonnets as I read more about that form. I can find out from a history or analysis of sonnets the kind of sonnet that I most like to read, and then I can seek out that kind of sonnet and get more enjoyment from my reading of the form that I have liked to read. Thus, again, reading about literature helps me expand my enjoyment. And finally, by reading about literature, I can take advantage of trained perspectives. People who write about literature have usually read a great deal of it. They have practiced observing patterns in literature. Thus, we can usually benefit from these trained observations. We can use criticism to help us see the patterns in the works of literature we read, because those other readers have seen those patterns and have thought about them. We see this training especially well when we consider the theories that critics form from their observations. As we use critical theory to help us read works of literature, we can also read about those theories to help ourselves use them more effectively. We can get access to theory in this way to the trained perspectives of experienced readers as we keep reading about literature. Indeed, as we continue our exploration of literature, we often find that we can expand our enjoyment, we can gain more knowledge and thus more understanding by reading about literature. When we do this kind of exploration, we give ourselves the best possible chance to find the most meaning in the literature we like. We share the perspectives of our fellow readers, making not only literary but also intellectual and emotional connections as we keep reading about literature. As always, thank you for your time and attention.